in the previous game. So Morgana and Maokai is really nice adaptation from them.
Yeah, and really nice to take them to away. I mean, maybe that's also why they were going to go on red side, because they knew that the Ambessa was going to get picked. They're like, okay, we know Ambessa is going to get picked. Let's make a draft around trying to counter Ambessa. You know, Morgana again can just use the black shield and stop the Ambessa from coming in. She's still going to travel, she's still going to do all the damage, but the champion's not going to get crowd controlled, so you can try and flash away or use stasis or use something else to protect. And also the Maokai, I mean, overall I don't think Nabil's really played the best in this series. I think he's been over aggressive at times and he's been caught out a few times. Maokai's maybe a better champion for someone that can just, you know, just use one ability or even use the ultimate to try and engage at range. The problem sometimes with Nautilus is that you're very one-dimensional. You're like, go in, you need to go in, land your CC. Yes, you can use a hook to escape afterwards, but most of the time you're just going all in and that's it. Yeah, as you mentioned, the Severe being picked, really nice again for the movement speed. We saw the damage output from last game as well. So Mango still have a very good draft.
Yeah, they still really have a nice draft, but depends on what they're gonna pick right now, because Varus and Morgana is a nice combination for the catches, for the crowd control. It will be very difficult to run into Morgana Varus, so the dynamic of the team fighting will be a little bit different in this game comparing to the last one, because Jace and Ziggs cannot really stop the hard engages with the Severe and etc. So Renekton for Patterson, which is nice, yeah, as you mentioned Stu before in the second game, that Shen wasn't the best option for such a carry player as Patterson is, so Renekton is much better option right now, and I think the combination with Ambessa and the Severe overall pretty nice. And I also wanted to praise Patterson for the last game with the moment when he flashed in with the Ruthless Predator to stun, and Corki, which was banned, I think the first game Corki was banned, appears on the side of Mango.
Yeah, you don't really see Corki that often, to be fair. I mean, the champion is just not very strong at the moment. Hasn't really been strong since they nerfed his kind of passive where he doesn't get his package until right as the objective spawned, so you don't actually get the time to, well, sometimes you have enough time to go back, get the package and then go to your objective, but then you're not going to have any control over the objective because your main carry is just going to be back in base. Since then, I mean, Corki overall doesn't do that much damage, doesn't benefit from any of the buffs that really happened to any of the AD carries, didn't get the attack range increase all the way back, like I feel like it's a year ago now that all these ADCs got an attack range and a little bit of attack speed increase. Doesn't benefit from lethal tempo, which got buffed from ADCs. Just in general, it's a very interesting pick. I mean, overall, I don't really see it working, to be fair. I don't know. I'm just not a believer of Corki. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I just don't think the champion does that much damage. And, you know, compared to some of these other bruisers or some of these other champions that you can pick.
Well, I'd say that Corki's one of his biggest advantages, the package, which gives you huge opportunities in team fights. You can do a lot of stuff of different kind with that. You can cut off the some escaping routes, or you can play with it offensively or defensively. It's pretty flexible. It's very difficult to fight against you. You can cut the entrance towards objective as well. So there are different options that you can use package with, especially when you have Severe with additional movement speed for positioning, for engage with Galio. You can even use your package like to go in and then Galio jumps on you. You have stasis, for example, and you are in the enemy team and they need to think about how to deal with you. So there are different options, and I think Corki, if the player is confident on Corki, then it's a good way to play it. It's a good way to pick it because they can do a lot of stuff with some poking, with the barrage of rockets together with Severe. The problem is that they might be a little bit outranged by the draft on the right side. But also what I wanted to mention is Morgana in jungle, which is a little bit risky against Ambessa, especially in the early game.
I didn't even recognize that, yeah.
Yeah, it might be a little bit dangerous, especially if we see Renekton pressuring Jax in early game and Severe out pushing the mid lane together with the support. Or Corki, depends on who's going to be on mid lane. If they're going to push the wave, they can try to invade the enemy jungle. They can try to go in. They can try to put up aggression. And Morgana, she's more about farming in the early game. She's very vulnerable towards those mobile, assassins, carries in the jungle. So Morgana might face some problems in the early game if Mango will, put some pressure onto her.
Yeah, I think in general, the stars need to align. As you mentioned, you need to have either your mid lane or your top lane being pushed in. You need to have advantage in them lanes, which we saw before. The Renekton versus Garen matchup was pretty even. It was actually Snorlax helping out the Garen in the end, getting first blood and getting the advantage there. Now it's Renekton against Jax. So again, Jax not going to be as strong in the early game, and Renekton really needs this lead to try and get ahead of this Jax. But Renekton is going to have that early game advantage. Corki mid against Jace. I would say most of the time Corki can get pushed in to Jace underneath the tower. Jace doesn't really have too much, just the shot burst acceleration gate, which doesn't really do too much to one-shot waves. If Corki gets level 2, gets his first ability and his third ability, he can push the wave in as well. So I definitely agree that there is maybe an opportunity that the invades can come on through to the Morgana, and the Morgana, as you mentioned, needs to be so careful. If that Dark Binding misses, if Ambessa is able to dodge it with all her mobility, then she's going to be in a lot of danger.
Yeah, and everything will be about this Dark Binding, because because Ambessa can literally just one-shot Morgana after she misses with the Dark Binding, and the problem is that there might be no help from the team if they will have line priorities on every lane, the Mango team. And the same goes with coming onto the objectives. For example, when they had Garen, they had this beefy, decent front line to go in front of Morgana, Jace, etc. But now the problem is that when they go on to contesting of some certain objectives, Maokai is their only beefy character, beefy champ that can absorb the damage. Otherwise, Mango Maracuya, they can just run down the team. They can literally just run down and take down the ranged carries. They don't care about the frontliners. They just go and kill the backline. And probably, if everything goes smooth for Mango, nothing can stop them, especially with the package, with the Sivir ulti, with all the resources they have in this game.
It's going to be interesting because we don't really see Morgana jungle too much anymore, as you mentioned, just because of the weak early game. The jungle clear isn't as fast as what it was before. But again, you have the same sort of utility that we was talking about from before that Morgana brings. Maybe not Morgana in the lane, but it's to do with Morgana's, Black Shield, the Dark Bindings coming through for the picks, and even sometimes the ultimate coming on through. But already you're seeing the invades coming on through. An early ward here onto the Corki, the pushing lane coming in. The Galio starting mid lane to help Corki push on through, to help give that early vision. And now they know where the Morgana is starting. The difficulty is that Ambessa is starting the same side as Morgana. So I would have liked the Ambessa to actually start blue buff here, because 99% of the time, actually I'll say 100% of the time, Morgana's going to start blue buff. So if you start blue buff as well as Ambessa, you can actually look for the invade onto the red buff. But instead, starting red buff herself means that she can't really cross the map that quickly to try and invade and shut down the Morgana.
She still can do it. I mean, if they want to, she can just skip Wolves and Blue and Gromp and just go straight to
out there.
Yeah, but the problem is that there was a small skirmish, I believe, in the mid lane, and probably Mango lost it because they were attempting to go into the jungle, and then they were forced back. So probably something went wrong there, and Mango Maracuya, they don't have option to pressure Morgana now. Maybe on golems right now, because we see that Ambessa engaging onto Morgana topside, but probably nothing's gonna happen there. And we see that Jax is not pushed into the tower, so basically, or maybe Snorlax might be too aggressive here.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, the Dark Bind is going to come on through. The first strike does proc as well. Maybe Nabil might get a little bit caught out, but does use a switch advance to go in. And the Galio is extremely low. A great counter strike from the Jax, actually stuns the Corki, but it's a 1-for-1 trade. And just overall, the damage is not there. Renekton actually going to flash on through. Patterson flashing in to try and secure the kill. Oh, has to use the flash away there, Nabil, to try and survive. Overall, the damage is just not there. I mean, it was a great pick in the end, and level 5 does come in, but the Snorlax, the flash came in way too early there from Snorlax, and it just allowed Ambessa to flash away to safety. I think all that he needed to do there was force the Ambessa to go towards his team. But Morgana flashed towards his team, and Ambessa was like, okay, I'll just flash the opposite way, and I'll just escape.
Yeah.
Bit of a misplay there from Snorlax.
He was too hasty in this moment. He needed to wait a little bit more. He needed to play more like a predator in this situation. But anyway, he burned out 2 flashes from Mango. So Renekton and Ambessa got no flashes now. And it's nice in terms of the potential aggression that Ambessa could have done. Now Ambessa will be more of a safe player in the next couple of minutes. And probably it's good for Jobcenter. It goes in their favor. Because we expected early aggression from Mango's side. And now they are not really able to do that.
Exactly that. And it does mean Morgana is just going to go back to the jungle, as does Ambessa, and just carry on farming. I just feel like in general, if Jobcenter had more damage there, they could have probably gotten a few more kills. Unfortunately, they just didn't have the damage there, because the counter-strike from Jax in the end was great. It was so good to actually stun both the Corki and also the Galio. They were able to secure the Galio, but there just wasn't enough follow-up damage, unfortunately, and Snorlax was just trying to get level 5 as soon as possible. But overall, a pretty even trade. Jungle-wise, in terms of farm and in terms of gold, only a 200 gold lead right now for Snorlax. So even though Morgana definitely does have a faster jungle clear, Antonio still doing well to keep up pressure here. Both do have an assist, so overall the gold is pretty even. Corki going to go back to base for now. It's going for that Manamune, so again, it's going to be pretty delayed in terms of the power spike from Corki. You have to really wait for this Manamune to be upgraded to the Muramana before you can start doing damage.
Yeah, that's true. That's kind of disadvantage that Corki has. He needs more time to build up. Like, well, Jace, by the way, this game goes a different way. Okay, engage comes on the top lane. Nabil is in taunt, but it's not a problem. Ultimate from Maokai is wasted now. And for the objective fight, it's kind of crucial because Mango will have huge advantage. Okay, they lost the ultimate of Sivir, but in trade of Nabil's ultimate, I'm not sure that it's actually nice for Jobcenter. But anyway, the Mango, they try to keep the pressure on the top lane, and they're probably gonna switch to the Herald and take it down.
Both teams are now going towards the Rift Herald. Looks like Mango have already started the Rift Herald, and Jobcenter are trying to go on through and trying to get the objective here. There's the package straight on through. You were talking about it, but a great chain of corruption afterwards from Jash shuts down the Corki in its path, and the Cal engage still coming back on through though. The Galio ulti with the Ambessa is going to dive in onto the back line. Another trade back and forth, and it's a 2-for-1 at the moment in favor of Jobcenter. You talked about that Corki package, Coldstar, how it can make a huge difference, but sometimes with the Corki package you can go a little bit too far, and Jash's chain of corruption was perfect timing there to catch out the Corki.
Yeah, but Mango Maracuya, they don't want to stop at this moment. They're still trying to fight here. And Jax is jumping onto Deadly, stunning him. And counter-engage comes from Mango. They will try to get Jace back to the fountain, but it's not possible here. And Solo Bolo is using his ultimate to save Jace, and Jace is surviving on the on literally 1 HP. And the mid lane, the Herald will be summoned.
Yeah, the Gorilla Turret does get summoned mid lane. It does get a few tower platings, isn't able to get first tower. Oh, it was able to actually get first tower in the mid lane. That is huge here for Jobcenter. Taking that mid lane tower, that means that these players like the Varus that's going to be sitting in the mid lane clearing through the waves can play a little bit more aggressive. That does mean Mango needs to be a little bit more patient now when it comes to that mid lane wave and wait for it to crash underneath their tower. It's going to open up the map so much more now as well. And when you have the likes of Morgana, the likes of Maokai that has that pick potential, you can look to try and go into the enemy jungle and use that crowd control that you have to try and catch out members of Mango here. But it looks like the dragon is going to be started as well. Snorlax just clearing through the jungle for now, and the build just kind of baiting away, kind of stalling the dragon as much as possible, trying to wait for Snorlax, maybe wait for some ultimates to come back up. The Bill's ultimate is not back up yet. He's about a few seconds away. It's back up now. Is he going to use it? No, nothing's going to be used. It's just going to trade objectives for now. But meanwhile, this whole time, Carlos pushing in that top wave, and everyone for Mango is in this bottom side of the map. So overall, in my opinion, a win for Jobcenter. They got the mid lane tower, they got the top lane tower in trade for just one dragon.
Yeah, I agree with you totally, Stu. They got a lot of pressure now on the map because they got a lot of plates and they got a lot of gold for Jax, and which would be really strong on side lane. Here comes ultimate from Vexic. Oh, there's a big problem for Vexic. He will definitely fall down here on bot lane, and the tower will fall as well. Snorlax, nice damage from Mangambo. He's trying to take down Morgana, but it's not possible. She's flashing away. And another tower down for International Jobcenter, and they are already almost 5,000 gold ahead. So Mango really need to think something about trading objectives right now because they're behind in gold.
Yeah, it's kind of the same position that I feel like Jobcenter were in last game. You know, they had that 5,000 goal lead. They nearly had a 10,000 goal lead in the end, but they still made that little mistake right near the end of the game. So I kind of want to see a more polished mid game here from Jobcenter. You know, play around the objectives better, play around your vision better, because I feel like in this composition, they have so much pick potential. You can see here, this is exactly what I want to see. Morgana taking the sweeping lens, clearing through vision, trying to sit in the river and trying to get a pick already. And Bessa has to use the flash to get away to safety. And that does mean now that the blue buff can try and be stolen away here. And Jobcenter doing a much better job here at trying to control the map.
Yeah, and they keep the pressure, and it's very important on this stage of the game to try and get as much as possible from the enemy jungle to deny the gold from side of Mango and slowly pressure and push the lane onto the side of Mango Maracuya, because now if they control the jungle, the gold difference will be higher and higher every minute. So that's what Jobcenter, they need to play disciplined, because in the previous game we had a similar game pattern. They take the lead, but then they're trying to make some aggressive moves. They're not really disciplined at some points, and Mango, they managed to get some sweet spots on the enemy team and get those team fights by catching some players who got off guard.
No, it's all down really. It's all now down really to the Jobcenter to see how they're going to play out this gold lead and whether they're going to make the same mistakes that they did in the previous one. You really have to keep your eyes now on the likes of the Corki, the Severe, making sure that they don't get caught out from any of these picks. They need to play so careful, because one Dark Binding, one Twisted Advance, or one Counter Strike could be the end for any one of these players. But for now, it looks like Jobcenter just playing a bit more defensively for now, just clearing out waves, taking control of the map, not really playing too over aggressive. They knew that they made the mistake in the previous games. So they're just taking this game a little bit calmly, a little bit more calmly this time around.
Yeah, and they definitely don't want to throw it away again like they did before. And also it's very important for them. This game, they have much more opportunities and more options to, make those mistakes, because they have Virus, they have Morgana, and because of the crowd control they have this game, they can easily run from the potential team fight and from engage. And as you mentioned, Stu, also about the Maokai, because Maokai can also use this twist advance for the catches and those catches, and also the ultimate that he can provide is easier to set up some team fights and cover up some mistakes of the players, like we saw Find God has been caught, and the ultimate from Maokai just forced players away from him.
Not really too much happening here. Bit boring for Wild Rift game, really. I talk about how Wild Rift is fast paced and there's so much things happening so often, and now we just get this state of the game. But I think it's now like, I feel like if they didn't make the mistakes from last game, then Jobcenter will probably be playing more aggressive. But because they made the mistakes before, they're playing so much more cautiously now, because they know that one mistake can just end the game, and then you just go to game number 5. Anything can happen in game number 5. So they want to try and use the advantage that they have to try and get the catches that they can, and that's Corki package already out of the window. That's gonna be a dragon taken, and the soul denied here from Mango. They won't be able to take the soul. They're trying to trade and trying to get this top lane tower. They do have the objective bounty, so if they can take this top tower, they get a bit of extra gold, but they're not able to take it. Jax able to run back up to top lane in time.
And the problem of this game for Mango, I'd like to mention, Oh yeah. So the problem, in my opinion, I'd like to mention that they didn't go for the turret on the top lane when the dragon was available. So, and in the end, Jobcenter got the Drake, and they could manage to save the tower on top. And I mean, what was the point for Magambo to check that Drake? They could just try and go trade tower, take tier 1, cross map, and take tier 1 tower on top lane. But for some reason, they were just a little bit off. Oh, here comes Patterson trying to kill Jax. Carlos, he can actually kill Renekton, but flash away in barrier instead. And Galio, unfortunately, dies on the other side of the map. Renekton, in the end, managed to get the kill on Jax.
Yeah, Patterson getting the solo kill there is actually really, really huge. You would think that, I think Jax is just way too far behind this game. Jax only has 1 item, doesn't even have the Riftmaker finish. So Patterson really great at understanding the situation of the game, really understanding that, hey, I have an item advantage. I can actually win this 1v1 and try and help my team. Takes the bot lane tower, takes that objective bounty. If Carlos survives in that situation, it becomes a 4 versus 5 with the pick that Jobcenter were able to get onto the Galio. But Patterson actually saved this game by getting the solo kill in bot lane, because it could have been a disaster here for Mango. But again, Patterson understanding the situation of the game, understanding that he has an item ahead of the Jax, and doing incredibly well to win that solo kill, solo 1v1 in the bot lane.
Yeah, it was really, really important for them, and now the gold advantage is not that dangerous for Mango. 4,000 or 5,000 gold on 15 minutes is not as bad as it was on 10th minute, so we don't even see gold, extra gold from towers, by the way, anymore, but it should be. But anyway, probably it will be really difficult for Mango to take more towers now, but they need to stall the game. Same script as the last game. They just need to stall as long as possible and look for the opportunities later in the game. When they got their core items, Sivir actually got 2 items. Would be perfect if she gets 3. Then she can really make a difference in this game. But for now, they need to keep stalling. Corki is already good, in really good shape, but he needs 3rd item as well. So 3 items is the moment of truth. When they get the 3rd item for Sivir and Corki, I think they can win the team fight.
The big difference really in this game is in the jungle. Look at the jungle lead at the moment for for Jobcenter. 4,000 goal lead. He's basically the goal lead in this game. Yeah. That is all in the hands of the jungle here. So it's all down to Snorlax to make a big difference in this game. There's a 2,000 goal lead in top lane as well for the Renekton. So it's really down to these 2 players, I feel like, to make a big difference. I mean, there's huge gold swings just across the board on both teams. So there's just different carries on both sides that really need to step up. The Ambassador's going to be pretty useless this game until she gets, 2 or 3 more items, I should say. But again, it's a very slow mid game, and we were getting pretty much to the late game now. Barrow spawn. We got the is that the Elder Drake or is that the 3rd dragon? No, it's just the 3rd dragon, isn't it? So we got the 3rd dragon spawning soon, which both teams don't really need to take because they're not able to take the Dragon Soul. So we're nearly at a point of the game where we're into the late game and nothing has happened, Cold Star. This is a completely different side to Jobcenter that we haven't seen throughout this whole series.
Yeah, now they're playing much more disciplined, much more careful. They maybe it's because of Morgana. Morgana, she's more about this disciplined and careful gameplay in Baron. Baron actually falls really fast with Morgana having these Leandris.
Wait a second.
Baron's gonna fall. There is a package. There is a package. Here goes the fight. And Corki is in the middle. Ultimate from Galio won't save Corki in this situation. Ambessa tries to ult and go in. All in from Mango. Maracuya is probably not gonna work. Meanwhile, Sivir is dying against Jax. And Galio is the only one standing. He's gonna fall as well. It's an ace for Jobcenter, and they gonna finish the game and the series right now.
That's all it took, was one decision. They were disciplined throughout the entire game, but that one decision to go for that Baron. No vision at all for Mango, and no games left to spare. Jobcenter, they're emoting away here, Jobcenter. They're gonna finish the series 3-1 in the end. Mango doing well to come back in the previous game, but again, wow, what a great decision there from Jobcenter to go from that situation of we're going to play discipline the whole game, we're not going to take any objectives, to suddenly hit the go button. It was so quick. Like the observer even struggled. It was like, wait, the Baron's being taken? Like it's gone already? Like yeah. It was crazy how quick that Baron got taken. It was a really good call out, actually. Liandry's with Morgana is absolutely huge for taking Baron. You know, sometimes Morgana can deal so much damage to Baron that it gets dealt so much damage. You also got Jash's damage on top of that as well. And Mango were just not in sight at all. So a much better hit performance here from Jobcenter. But overall, they have shown that they're not as smooth as what I thought they would be. You know,